Yeah, thanks. I can also walk. Okay, thanks. We'll just kick off with the broadcast section, then followed by the dailies. There's no need for translation, so we'll just kick off if that's okay. Rahman, would you like to kick off?
Sure thing. Thanks you. Hi, Ange. Do you want to give us a squad update, please?
So after the weekend, Turnbull and Jens both missed out through illness, but they look like they'll be okay. I think that's it. And Jota, we'll just wait and see. He's still still a bit sore from the weekend, so make a decision tomorrow.
Got a last minute thing with him.
Yeah, he was, like I said, he pulled up sore on the weekend, and we just have to sort of assess it. It's a quick turnaround in games, so usually second day we've usually got a couple missing anyway, but obviously with the game tomorrow we've got to make a decision.
Expecting quite an open game. We played last week.
Yeah, look, I think if you look at both clubs' sort of approach, they like to be fairly direct and quick with their football, and I don't expect them to sit back at all. And I think, looking at the group as well, both teams probably, it's a game where a win is going to be fairly significant. So, and the nature of both football clubs, I don't know about open game, but I think it'll be a pretty quick game, and it'll be exciting.
Yeah, exciting. With Callum out, would you expect to use Matt in that defensive position while he's out?
Yeah, he's an option there for sure. I thought he did well on the weekend. We've obviously got 2 or 3 options we can play there. So again, it's more about just seeing how the guys pull up. Like our session today was fairly light. I'll have a think about it overnight. But we've got 2 or 3 options. But I thought on the weekend, Matt and Rao and Haksabanovic, looked good as a threesome. But as I said, we've got some other options too.
Ange, you'll be looking for a performance, but am I right in thinking you'll take any kind of a win tomorrow?
I don't think those things are mutually exclusive. I don't know why people think you need one or the other. I think if we put in a good performance, there's a good chance we'll get a good result. So, I think, from my perspective, the reason we go about our things the way we do is because we think it'll give us the best chance of success. So, I think for us, again, the focus is playing our football, putting a strong performance against a good quality opponent, and they'll give us the best chance to get the result we want.
Yeah, they are good, aren't they? Especially middle to front. They've got some exceptional players there. How well matched do you think the 2 sides are?
Well, I think you saw last week. I think for most of the game it was pretty evenly matched. I think probably up until they scored the second goal, chances were fairly even on with both teams, and similar types of chances created with sort of quick transition movements. So we know they've definitely got some strengths that we've got to be wary of, but I think we showed enough last week that we also have ways we can hurt them as well.
I think you probably showed in the first hour or so against Real Madrid as well. Is that the kind of intensity, the kind of performance you're looking for here again?
Yeah, at home. Yeah, I mean, I think we were good against Shakhtar. It's a game we probably should have won. So performances for the whole, haven't been too bad considering the level of football that we're playing at. But as you said, at home it's a little bit of a different proposition for us, for sure. With our support behind us and just the general atmosphere you get here, it's certainly for us it's proven that in big games it helps us just get the momentum going really early, and that's what we'll be looking for tomorrow night.
With Jota, given his importance to you and the nature of the player he is he one you give as long as possible to be fit and available, or potentially put on the bench hoping you can get something out of him?
No, it just comes down to whether we think he can play or not. I think with all the players, they're all important in different ways. So it's just that I said with a short turnaround, it's not unusual for somebody not to be right the day before a game when we've got such quick turnaround games. But it's just a matter of whether he's right or not. If he's right, we'll play him. If he's not, then he'll miss out.
You've spoken since the game, so last midweek until today, about the need to be brave in these games and do what you do domestically in Europe effectively. In the interim, have you sort of reminded the guys of the things they've done well in the 3 matches so far, the moments when it has clicked and they have been positive?
Well, yeah, I mean, we did that in the review of the last game, because in the last game we did that. It's just, like I said, I just felt after we equalised, we we just got a little bit into sort of, it's like self-preservation mode in terms of, the equaliser gave us something, and giving us something, we tried to hold on to that rather than seeking more. And I think when you fall into that trap, particularly against a team, that has the good quality, particularly in the front third, you leave yourself susceptible to, to sort of for them to hurt us. And but again, all these things are new experiences for our guys. It's a bit different playing at this level, and they're also desperate to be successful, and for us to be successful. That when you get yourself back into a game like that, it's only human nature that kicks in and says to you, we don't want to give that away. And like I said, you're kind of going to your shell a little bit, but I'm sure the players would have learned from that, and that's the sort of feedback that I gave them after the game. When we were playing our stuff and sort of had a real positive mindset, we matched it.
If you've got ambitions to develop within this competition, adjust to it and move forward in it, are these the type of games at home where you should be looking to take points against them? Is that the kind of target when the group was drawn?
It's still it's still a process. I mean, I know people kind of want to go through these steps really quickly. I think that the biggest take on us, we've created a lot of chances, we haven't taken them. Is it just a matter of taking those chances? Well, yes, it is, but that doesn't happen one day to the next. And it's the same with winning games at this level. It doesn't happen one day to the next. You need to grow, you need to develop, you need to have a real sort of positive mindset in the way you go about things, and give yourself opportunities for success. And the more you're in that window of opportunity, the more likely over time you'll get the success. But it's not, if it was easily fixable, then you'd see a lot more teams winning the Champions League, but you don't. There's a reason a select few do, and there's a reason select few get through and into the later stages. But you've got to aspire to get there, and I think this is the best way forward for us.
You talked about having 2 or 3 options in Callum's position. Is it a case of sort of trial and error going forward, or are you quite assured on those options and it's more just sort of horses for courses?
I hope it's not trial and error, mate, because I spend a hell of a lot of time thinking about football and doing what I do. So there's a little bit of methodology that goes into it. But like I said before, I guess with Callum, when we're talking about the things we were talking about, he's one that has that experience at this level, and he knows what's required to win a game, even at Champions League level, and at international level. So he's used to that sort of environment. He thrives in it. Now, you can't replace that, because that you can only learn by experiencing it. So, that's where we're going to have to, just get other guys to hopefully take a leap forward and show that sort of, I guess, experience that maybe doesn't exist right now in that kind of environment. But in terms of our style of play, I still think, we have players within the group that, we can compensate for missing Callum.
You said after a few games recently about wanting the team to be more clinical and taking more chances. It's just about having that belief that you are creating chances, and the players will take them if you keep on creating them. Yeah,
again, I think it's similar to winning games. The more sort of you give yourself an opportunity to score goals, the more likely is you'll get them. I think a much more difficult problem would be if we weren't creating chances at all, because then you'd be saying, well, with the few chances we have to score. Because ultimately, if you want to win games, you have to score goals. There's no other way of going about it. So if we're creating chances and not taking them, I think the more we consistently do that, eventually we will take our chances. I think we have players in the group who can do that. But, if we weren't creating the chances and we're relying on, 1 or 2 opportunities a game, I think that's where it becomes a little bit more, challenging.
Ange, did you always sense that the second half of this group campaign would be better for your team? Now you've played all the 3 teams now. You've had positive spells in all the games. Did you always think that you would maybe need a wee bit of time to settle in, and then you can kick on? Yeah, look,
again, that's kind of what you hope for. That as we have more experiences at this level, that we become sort of more accustomed to this level of football and what it means, and the fine lines between sort of, success and not having success. But at the same time, it doesn't mean the challenge is any easier, because, Leipzig are probably a better team today than they were in the first round, so it doesn't make those challenges easier. The one thing you know about this level is, and that's what you need to get accustomed to, is that it is relentless. It is the highest level of club football. So there are no easy games. So you can play, 100 games at Champions League level, and the next one is still going to be difficult. And I think that's the experience that you come through, that you go into every game understanding that. And, maybe when you begin that, you think, well, it maybe gets easier. It doesn't. It stays exactly the same. It's why even some of the greatest sides haven't won it yet, because it's constantly demanding at this level.
And just looking at the group, do you see this as a must-win game if you want to progress?
I think I don't think I've ever gone into a game not thinking it's a must-win. I think if I came to this football club and thought, well, today it doesn't really matter if we win or not, it wouldn't go down too well. From the context of the group, as I said, it's pretty tight when you look at it, sort of beyond, obviously, Real Madrid have started, well in the group. So, they're obviously a bit more comfortable. But for the other three teams, we've still got 2 home games. Others have only got 1 home game. So, every result you get puts a bit of pressure on the opposition. But, again, for us, what's important is that we go out tomorrow night and put in a strong performance and give ourselves a chance for success. That's the first thing, You can't just, hope for these things to happen. You've got to put yourself in a position where you can be successful.
And I know a few people have already mentioned it, but there's been a slight kind of change in shape with O'Reilly playing slightly deeper. Was that forced by the injury of McGregor, or was that change something that you had already planned to place with Haksabanovic in a number 10?
No, it's not a change of shape. We're playing exactly the same. It's just that, Matty's dropped into sort of Cal's position and Haksabanovic has gone into Matty's position. So the shape's exactly the same. But, as I said before, it comes down to the different nuances of the players, because they're all a bit different now. Matty doesn't play like Cal. Same way all our wingers aren't the same. Kyogo and Jacko are not the same. So we play the same way. It's just that the different players coming in bring different sort of qualities to it, and change maybe a little bit of the way we do certain things. But in terms of the shape, it's exactly the same.
David?
Hi, Ange. You talk about the loss of Callum for his Champions League experience. James Forrest has that in abundance too, and he looked very lively at the weekend. So, is he in your thoughts for tomorrow?
Yeah, he is, and that's why he's still part of what we're doing here, because I think it's important that you have players like him. And as you said, I thought he was really good when he came on the weekend. He took the game on. It was really positive, and he's one that has the experience, and also he's performed at this level as well. It's not just the experience; he's actually made impact at Champions League level, in big games for the football club at international level. So, he's definitely part of the plans.
Lindsay?
Thanks. It's actually 9 years since Celtic won a Champions League group game. I don't know if you're aware of it or not. What kind of achievement would it be for you then to end that kind of disappointing run?
Yeah, look, I haven't been responsible for all 9 years, so you got to cut me a bit of slack. But it just goes to show that how hard it is, And I know I don't see it as failure. I mean, we've had some fantastic football teams at this club that haven't been able to win at this level, but we're not alone in that. There are plenty of fantastic football clubs and with great teams. It's like I said, it's the hardest level of club football. So they're hard to attain, and for us as a football club, it's where we want to be though, and that's what our ambitions are. There's no doubt about it. That's where our aspirations lie, to consistently be at this level. And if you're consistently at this level and playing well, you give yourself a chance to win games of football. But as I said, they don't get any easier as you go along, and it's a big challenge for us tonight. What a win would do is, as I said, give us more belief that we can continue on this road and become a really sort of well-credentialed Champions League football club.
Tasha?
And you're talking about belief, and it's something you mentioned after the game in Leipzig as well. Now, there's certainly belief in the squad when they pushed on to get that last-minute winner in Perth. How do you get that belief in the form in the domestic football to then transcend into the European games? Again,
just, as I said before, just through experience of guys, feeling that. I mean, the way we won on the weekend is not the first time we've done that. The players have experienced that before. We've been down in games with 10 men, in the last minute, and they've found a way to win. So when we conceded on Saturday, I know the only thought going through the players' head was, let's get the ball, there's still time, because they've experienced it, they've done it before. And you need to do it at this level, and then that's how you get the belief. It's easy for me to talk about it. Different when you're out there, particularly for this group of players who are still, for the most part, in terms of demographics, a young team. For me to pass that belief onto them without them going through it first. But I'm hoping that, as I said, with every game we play, they can see, they can feel it out there, that when we're playing our football and we're playing well, we're matching it with very, very good football teams. So now it's a matter of trying to transfer that into having success.
And we're now well into this kind of chunk of huge games before the World Cup, and you made changes at the weekend. You'll probably make changes going into tomorrow night. Do you hope that by the end of this chunk of games before the World Cup, that the squad just now, we're obviously getting to look at different players coming in, you'll get that again tomorrow night, that by the end of it, the squad will be in a shape that you're probably really, really happy with? I'm sure you're happy with it at this point in time, but by the end of that huge run of fixtures, you've been able to see everybody and see what they give you?
Yeah, well, that'll be our challenge, because, I know you say we're into it, but we've still got another 10 or maybe 11 games to go, so, we're still at the beginnings of it, and already we're feeling the effects of it, like I think most clubs will through this period. I think it's not just us. You look at other clubs that are playing, whether that's in England or in other leagues, who have got 11, 12 games in the space of 4 or 5 weeks. They're all going to be suffering a similar kind of thing that we are, and you have to change your team and try and protect your players so we can keep performing. But it just depends how we get through this period, and hopefully we'll get through it without too much sort of attrition in terms of the playing squad, and we can maintain our levels. But it really is a sort of game by game scenario for us, and trying to see where our players are at and which players potentially need a spell and which others are ready to come in. But it's pleasing for me that some of the guys who came in on the weekend really contributed to our performance, but you could tell at the end that they needed a game. So I think that 90 minutes will help some of the guys who probably haven't played a bit lately.
Okay, everyone been?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Just clarify the nature of Jota's injury.
Just muscle injury, fatigue. Too good looking. I guess.
Mark, you starting?
Matt, you spoke to us ahead of the Real Madrid game. I think I'm right in saying you were really positive about what Celtic could do in this group and in the Champions League. How has the learning curve been for you so far and your teammates?
Yeah, no, definitely a lot to learn. Again, probably because quality of opposition is higher than what we're used to in the Scottish League. So yeah, a lot to learn in terms of especially the ruthless side of it. If you give them a chance, they're very quick to just punish you. That's what we've had to learn very quickly. Even for ourselves, we've had a lot of times where we've had good chances and we haven't taken them, and that's kind of probably determined the result of the game. Yeah, that's probably been the biggest thing, if I'm being honest.
The manager spoke since sort of last week and said at times maybe you took the safer option because it's that fear of being as positive because of the quality of players you're around. You're not used to playing at that level. You maybe do different things than you would do if you were playing in the Premiership. Give us an insight as a player. What makes it difficult to do what you normally do? Is it just the speed of everything around you at this level?
Yeah, I think it's a number of factors. I think first and foremost, again, we're not the most experienced of teams at this level in terms of the players we have. We've got a lot of young players who are new to the level and are new to the experience of it. So those first couple of games, not necessarily nerves, but you don't really know what to expect. So maybe there's something in your mind which is telling you something that you're not used to, which again you learn by playing games at this level. And yeah, there's a lot of different challenges. Just mentally, physically, it's obviously more demanding on the body. our running stats have been significantly higher in these games than they are when we play domestically, which I think kind of just shows probably because of the quality of opposition. All these factors can probably affect things slightly. But no, personally, I've learned a lot in terms of you probably do have to move the ball slightly quicker. You need to make quicker decisions. You maybe need to be a bit stronger when you're trying to protect the ball. All these little things, they add up over time. And yeah, I've learned a lot in the first 3 games.
Perhaps easier is the wrong word to use, but are you, as a team, do you think, getting better equipped to deal with Champions League football as the group goes on? And do you think the team will be better results-wise as the group goes on?
I hope so, yeah. I can't promise a certain result going into a game, but we've definitely learned. I think we know what we need to do to win the games now. I think just that ruthlessness in front of goal and really being clinical in those final moments, that's probably the biggest difference at this level. The good thing is we're creating the chances, first and foremost. If we weren't creating the chances, that's a whole different story, then we're probably going to people will start panicking, saying, oh, they're not suited to this level. But we've proved in the games that we've played that we can compete with these teams, we can go toe-to-toe with them. And again, if we're just a bit more ruthless probably in both boxes, then that should help us.
You were tasked with dropping into Callum's role at the weekend. How did you find that?
Yeah, no, enjoyed it. I've done it before in the past, maybe not in the exact same system, but I feel comfortable in terms of what I need to do. It's obviously different to what I'm used to at the moment. I've been playing slightly higher up, so structurally it's slightly different, but because our structure's so clear and we all know what we're doing, dropping in isn't so difficult. I obviously know where Cal needed to be when he was playing there, so me slotting in that helped just from getting that relationship with him when he was there, so I feel good about it.
He obviously has a big influence over this team. Does it feel like big boots to fill, or did it seem quite seamless going into that position?
You can't really replace Cal in terms of not even just his football side, just in terms of what he brings as a character in the team. I'm not thinking about it on a personal note, if I'm being honest. I'm just there to do what I can do in that position. But yeah, naturally Cal's obviously a big loss, we know that. Probably the most important player in the team just because of everything he brings. But saying that, I think we've got enough characters and enough good players to, hopefully keep the performance level high.
Will that help your development as well, playing in different roles and having those experiences against different teams in different positions?
I think so, yeah. I think it's just more learning, isn't it? I've done it in the past, so like I said, I do feel comfortable playing, to be honest, any sort of midfield role, whether it's deeper or in the middle or even slightly higher, I feel comfortable. Just because throughout my young academy career, I played, all around, so I feel comfortable slotting in there. Yeah, hopefully I can do a good job.
You mentioned you played there before. Was that your Fulham days or?
Fulham days, yeah, MK Dons as well. Just slightly different systems, MK Dons we played with 2 deeper ones and then 2 in front, more of like a box. But in terms of the concept, I'm deeper down on the pitch, so it's the same concept in that sense. And then at Fulham we did play for a while with the same midfield shape. But then slight details are just different, in terms of restrictions of where you're supposed to be going in and around that. So, those experiences from the past have definitely helped me get a good understanding of what I need to do. Yeah.
Matt, do you have a sense that a win for you tomorrow night completely changes the complexion of the group?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, we'll be on 4 points as opposed to 1, so that'll be better. Of course we know the importance of this game, because after that it's probably going to be a little bit harder. But saying that, our approach to the game is still the same. We approach every game in the same manner, the same preparation. And as I touched on earlier, if we can be a bit more ruthless in their box and ours probably, then that should be the difference. But yeah, like you said, it probably is quite an important game in the bigger scheme of things, but we'll see what happens.
Do you think it's going to take your best performance of the season so far to get past what looks like, certainly from last week, a very good Leipzig team?
Probably, yeah. You'd expect so. They're playing at a very high level right now. Saw that in last week when we played them. They're a very good side. However, we did have some really good chances. They probably did deserve to win the game, but we're at home now as well, which changes things a little bit. Our fans behind us can really make a difference. So yeah, we're feeling good.
Well, I wonder how much a game like St Johnstone prepares you for a game like this when you have to go up a level, and how much a kind of different mood there is now when you get a 95th minute winner as opposed to a late draw.
Yeah, no, I think that winning feeling going into a game is definitely important. To be honest, we weren't, buzzing when we came in the change room after it. We were probably a bit more frustrated that we didn't put the game to bed earlier on because we had so many chances. And I think that was a message between a lot of us, just even from speaking to a few boys today, we're saying we're just going to have to be a little bit more clinical if we're going to, have a good chance of winning this game. So I think that's been the main message. We know what we need to do to win this game. It's just about, carrying that out on the pitch tomorrow.
Matt, I was speaking to Greg Taylor on Wednesday after the game against Leipzig, and he says that you need to start winning games to prove that you belong in the Champions League. Do you think a win tomorrow would prove that you actually belong here, and this is the stage that Celtic belong on?
Yeah, no, I think he's right. It's a results business at the end of the day. I think we've proven that we're capable of playing at this level in terms of the performance, but now it's just about getting the result, like you said. And I think we've got all the attributes to do that, to be honest. It's just about actually doing it now, like Greg's probably said. Performances are there. Everyone's still feeling positive and feeling good, which is the main thing. If we were in the training ground doubting ourselves and thinking, we need to change something, then it's probably a different story, but the approach is still the same, and I think we're confident we can do it.
You touched on there that you said there was a slight change now that you're playing this one at home and that the fans make a difference. What difference does that exactly make to you as a player? How does that influence your game?
Yeah, it's massive, genuinely. Feels like you can probably run an extra couple kilometres in a game just from the noise itself, Every time we want to throw against Madrid, the whole place erupted. So just little things like that give you that extra boost. And yeah, just that whole electric atmosphere in the stadium just makes you want it that bit more almost. That's what it feels like. And yeah, we'll do everything we can for them to win the game.
You're a guy that came up here, Matt, and hit the ground running immediately when you joined the club, but it's been difficult for Alexandro Bernabé to make an impact in the side, but he looked particularly good on Saturday. Have you felt for him, and has it been difficult for him to assimilate?
Yeah, I mean, his situation's probably quite different to mine. He's come a long way. He's come from Argentina, doesn't speak the language, so these things are massive factors, in terms of really understanding the structure of our team and the details. They make a difference. Even culturally, it's a big change for him. So naturally, I think it's understandable. It's taken slightly more time for him to adapt, And saying that, Greg's played at a very high level all season, so I don't think it's anything Bernard's done wrong necessarily. I think he's done well every time he's played. Sometimes you need to be a little bit patient when you're a new player, and he's been just that. But yeah, really happy for him because I think he played really well at the weekend.
And just finally, they've got such a strength of talent up top, Leipzig and Kunku and Werner. How do you deal with these guys? How do you cope with that threat?
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to. I think it's about being as focused as you can be, not switching off at all. That's I've seen in the last game. Anytime you switch off for a split second, they're there to punish you. So yeah, if we're laser sharp focused throughout the whole 90 minutes, I think that's our best chance of stopping them. Yeah.
David?
Hi Matt, a draw doesn't really suit either side, and if Celtic actually take the lead, Leipzig will have to go for it. But bearing in mind what happened last week and what the manager said, is it important that we don't try and hold on to what we've got and try and go for a second goal?
Yeah, I think so. I think the way we're set up, we're not a team that's designed to protect a lead. We're a team that's designed to, add to it, score more goals, keep attacking. That's kind of the way we're designed to play. We're not the biggest of teams. We're not designed to, sit back and defend our box too much. We'll do it when we have to, of course, and we'll try to. But we're a team that wants to be on the front foot, wants to be aggressive, wants to press. So that's the game plan for sure.
Matt, we saw Cameron Carter-Vickers take the captain's armband against St Johnstone. What does he bring to the side in terms of being a captain, and how does that differ slightly from perhaps what Callum McGregor might bring? He's a great presence just in terms of his stature on the pitch and the calmness he brings to the team when he plays. Cal's probably more vocal. Cal's probably the most vocal guy on our team, to be fair. And Cam's someone that probably speaks more when he needs to and leads in that sort of sense.
but he's got that respect from all of the players because of his consistency and, you know, his responsibility that he takes on the pitch. So very different in terms of the characters they are, but equally just both as good as stepping in that role.
Hi Matt, we're seeing your versatility just now playing in that kind of deeper role in midfield. Just to ask you, Seatak Sabanovic had a really good game at the weekend. Is it good to have individuals like that around you that can play different positions? It's obviously something the manager's spoken quite a lot about, but you know, going forward, players having that versatility in the team, is that something that you think makes the team a lot stronger?
I think so, yeah. I think, you know, especially when you get a few injuries, it's helpful to have players that can play in different areas, you know, to emphasise, you know, we need to perform at a very high level, and if people can slot into different positions and perform at a high level there, then it just helps us massively, you know. Yeah, he did really well on the weekend, I thought, in that position, and the fact he's able to play at such a high level there and do the same on the wing, I think that's just only going to add to our squad.
Okay, the press conference for Leipzig is at 5:30. Camera guys and photographers, you just need to stay in the seating deck. There's still zones at training, so stay in the seating deck or behind the goal.